Welcome back to another week of Kenan and Kel with Adam and Aaron. My name is Aaron.
My name is Adam.
And this week we're looking at Season 2, Episode 6, A Star is Peeved.
Kenan Kel gets into the movie-making business as a famous director wants to check out the Rigby storefront. So I had a fun time with this one personally.
I did not.
So the perfect dichotomy that the Fantas tune in for.
I will absolutely do my best to not be too negative, everybody.
And before we get started, I have a little something I'd like to share with everyone, if you want to listen closely.
Wow.
And as you can see right here, I've got myself an orange Zevia.
Zevia. For those who don't know, Zevia is a soda that's sweetened with stevia instead of sugar for us new-aged healthy people.
Yeah, so I've got some orange soda for this podcast.
That's brilliant.
And you know what? I will say that I like orange Zevia. I won't go as far to say the other L word. If Zevia wants that kind of attention, then they have to send us an official sponsorship.
The day Zevia sponsors this podcast is the day I quit. I refuse to have a real sponsor.
I do want to say for my sponsorship, I mean send me a free case.
That's that would be good. Yeah. Okay, that works.
I'll accept a free case.
That works for me.
And if any other orange soda sponsors out there want to steal that membership, if Crush or A Treat are listening.
I'm sure all the orange soda vendors are watching this.
I follow them all on Twitter.
Oh.
But yeah, let's before we go much further, let's Dan Carlin intro. The horse, not man's best friend, but a good one from down the block. One that'll happily split a craft IPA after a long summer day. Since the beginning of our relationship, one has wondered about the other. Hey, when you're running real fast, are all of your legs off the ground at a single point? This conversation lasted the better part of the past 50,000 years, until it arrived at a racing track at the end of the 19th century. They had this new invention, more on that another day, that took a single moment in time and could capture it into a photograph. With a dozen of these lined up down the track, they saw with their own eyes that, yes, in fact, the horse is off the ground for one fraction of a second. They also, inadvertently, created the first moving picture. Soon, these movies became longer. A trip to the moon proved they could be vessels for storytelling. The jazz singer added sound to the mix. Soon, we were watching Dorothy transition from her dull Kansas home to the Technicolor yellow brick road, and towards the Emerald City of films as we know them. Not the Wizard of Oz himself, but a magician from a different school, Steven Spielberg, may have popularized the blockbuster summer movie with his famous shark film, Jaws, but a lesser-known director, Stanley Goldberg, had made some of the greatest contributions to cinema, at least according to the Rockmore family of Chicago, Illinois. Those being Supermarket Cop 1 and Supermarket Cop 2. Eager to complete his grocery trilogy, Mr. Goldberg has traveled to 909 Illinois Drive, better known as Rigby's Grocery Store, to scope out a new filming location. After meeting two Chicago youths, Kenan Rockmore and Kel Kimball, will his moving picture turn out to be a floppy, messy sandwich? Or will it be a good burger? All right, hop on the big orange couch with Coolio, and we watch the show. It is just Kenan today. No Kel in sight.
Nope. Kenan is on stage, entertaining the crowd, doing a little dance. He's got his yellow pants on. And
so, I'd like to start off with a theory.
You go for it.
My theory is that the dance outro of Haven't Got Time for Paint last episode was so incredible and intense.
Oh, absolutely.
That both Kenan and Kel in the intro-outro segment here try and capitalize on that and reclaim that energy. So that's why Kenan, for the first time ever, starts out the show dancing.
Yep, and it's pretty clear what they're doing, I would say. And it's pretty clear that it's not as funny as it was last week, but we're going to keep going with it. We got a new audience.
Yeah, they need some new jokes.
We're trying it out. So that's that, and it's not that funny. But anyways, he turns to introduce Kel after he introduces himself, and Kel's not there.
Yep. He's not to his left. He's not to his right. Where is Kel?
Kel is in the audience, about 9 rows deep.
Yep. He's sitting there, and I like the crowd interactions that he has around him. It's on some of my latter watches. This is one I have to watch like 3 times. I notice that they are having a good time with the audience, which is always fun.
Yeah, it's really nice. The audience looks happy to be there, like amused at what's happening.
Yeah, Kel shouts, "What's up, buddy?" And Kenan explains to him very clearly that you can't watch it. You're in it.
And then Kel just he like yells at Kenan, "Do something funny!"
Yeah. Which is just really, Kenan storms into the stands right next to him, and they have really good like moments with the audience here, where Kenan says to the lady that's between them, he's like, "Would you excuse us, please?"
Yep, she gets up. He sits down next to Kel. Kel puts his arm around Kenan and he offers him some popcorn, and Kenan slaps the popcorn in dramatic fashion. It flies everywhere.
If you notice, they start like kind of cracking up at that because it does have a movie explosion to it.
It's a beautiful like moment. Yeah, great cinematography.
It all lands on the kids in front of them, and like throughout the rest of this scene, they're like throwing the popcorn back at them.
Oh, I didn't notice. That's funny. Okay.
Yeah. He also like the girl next to Kel, like he's like waving her arm at Kenan. He's like, "Stop him! Stop him!" So, they after some time in there, Kenan like basically, what does he do? He just kind of
he says something about like liking movies, and then he says, "Oh, you like movies? Then you're gonna love this show. Join me." He says, "Join me, won't you?" And then he kind of just like brings Kel, and Kenan goes off first. He says, "Come on, Krabby Cake, it's hammer time."
Yeah, he does that, gives a peace sign, and then goes on his stage. Then Kel does a really fun. He's like, "Kenan, hasn't been hammer time for 5 years." That's an MC Hammer bit.
And then he like slowly makes his way up to the stage. It takes about like 15 seconds. And he's slowly making his way to the stage, and you think he's going to say something else funny. He goes to center stage in the spotlight. He says, "Oh, here it goes," and then runs off set. That was like the first moment of this episode where I was like, this is not well directed. They kind of are just like throwing stuff together.
Yeah, so I do want to say that this episode is written by Savage Steve Holland, who this is his first episode debut as a writer. And you can feel how it doesn't fall into place exactly with a lot of the other ones.
He doesn't know what to do with Kenan and Kel, I feel.
That said, unlike a lot of the season 1 writers, he comes back for a lot of later episodes, and I think he gets to know Kenan and Kel better.
Okay.
So personally, I don't think the formula's not there. But I do want to say I think he does a better job than a lot of other people that have tried to write Kenan and Kel.
Yeah, it's not terrible, but for this initial moment, I don't know. It just seems like they're kind of like they kind of don't really know what to do.
Yeah,
that's how I feel.
I agree with that. So we open up on Rigby's.
Kenan is sweeping the floor, doing a very poor job. He's just moving dirt around, and Kel enters with a bag, and he quickly reveals to Kenan that he has a slingshot.
Which is great because just an episode or 2 ago, Kenan asked him to procure a slingshot. Literally last episode, he said, "Get 900 hard-boiled eggs and a slingshot."
Oh, and he's definitely said something about grapes before too, right?
Yeah, he came through. Kel got the slingshot.
Yeah, that's all right. We got a little fun fact there. They try to find something to. Oh, Kenan asked Kel, if he got any rocks, and Kel said, "No, I didn't buy any rocks." And then Kenan says, "All right, well, let's get some grapes."
They improvise, and Kel gets like chicken to shoot at.
The fakest chicken you'll ever see, but it's not it's not like a rubber chicken. It's like it looks like a raw chicken.
Yeah, it's like a prop raw chicken.
It's very. It makes me sad how bad this raw chicken is.
Yeah, so they do a little bit here where Kenan shoots grapes at the chicken, and Kel pretends that the chicken is dying.
Yep.
One of the grapes goes astray and flies out the open door and hits a man in the eye.
It does. But before that, I need to point out, you know how last time you said that the doors had signs on the inside?
Yes.
Well, the door's propped open, so people outside can see the signs.
Oh, yeah. When it's open like that, then the problem's gone.
Exactly.
Right. Good point. So yeah, a man wearing like a hat with a ponytail and like a jacket, like comes into the room, and he's all rubbing his eye because he got hit by a grape. Kenan Kel blamed like neighborhood delinquents.
Yep. This guy looks like John Travolta from Pulp Fiction, plus Ray Romano, plus who's the other? Oh, Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, you mix them all together and you get this man.
And you take away some of the star factor, and you got this guy.
Yeah. What is his name?
Stanley Goldberg.
Yes.
Assisted by his assistant, Jackie Sebring, like the name of the Chrysler car.
Yeah, so an obvious play on Steven Spielberg. Which is funny because Stanley Goldberg is... the actor that plays him his name is Steve.
Oh, nice.
As I said before, the writer also goes by Savage, which is a name that comes up later in the story.
The guy is very upset that he got hit by an eye in the eye with a grape, and he asks for the manager of this grocery store.
Yes, Chris. He asks for the manager. Kenan calls Chris's name out.
Right. Let me just say really quick, they recognize that this is a famous director, like instantly.
Yes.
So they start to get all kind of like, you know, like what you do around famous people. Starstruck for sure. Yes, there's a word for that.
And yeah, so Kenan immediately calls for Chris directly into Stanley's ear. And Chris comes rushing. I love this moment for Chris. He comes rushing out with a bat, and he's holding the bat in the center, and he's shouting, "Are you being mugged?" Yeah,
Chris definitely showing his hesitancies, right? Showing his like preparedness compared to a few episodes ago when he got robbed by a clown and installed a security system.
Yeah, no, he's full. He's his own security system now. Apparently, like, bloodbath didn't work out.
That dog.
Yeah. So I also love that he doesn't know how to use a bat.
No, he's choked up a lot.
He choked up way too high on that bat.
Yep.
But yeah, he comes in and Stanley explains to him that he doesn't want to dilly dally.
Dilly dally.
Yeah, Kenan Kel, their moment of emphasis. And he wants to shoot the new movie, Supermarket Cop 3 in Rigby's.
Supermarket Cop 3 is starring Buck Savage.
Yes, and Kenan and Kel are big fans of the first two films.
They erupt at hearing Buck Savage will be in Rigby's filming a store. They get really, really, really excited, and so then they start listing all of the great accomplishments of Buck Savage in Supermarket Cop 1 and 2.
Yeah, in Supermarket... we should have a short name for this. In SMC 1... Oh, that's not short at all.
You have to say the full name, Adam. No beating around the bush.
In Supermarket Cop 1, he gets stuck in a freezer and has to make a bomb out of a rump roast.
Yep.
What happens in Supermarket Cop 2?
I don't know what I wrote. The bag buys by hair.
You have it. He grabbed an evil bad boy by his hair.
Oh, okay, bag boy,
and said, "Hi-ya!" Yeah.
Bag boy by hair, hi-ya. And when Kel says this, he punches Chris in the nose.
Yeah, who's behind him? So Chris moves to behind Kenan, and Kenan, in describing a scene where Buck Savage fights evil cross-dressers, I think.
Yep. That is what he said.
He's gonna push past that, and he demonstrates, and he accidentally hits Chris with a bat. When Stanley explains that he wants to film the movie here, Chris objects.
Yeah, Chris is not having it. First off, they're really mad that he hit him in the nose a couple times. But second off, He does not like the way those supermarket cop movies portrayed the supermarket industry. He says that, the supermarkets are not a violent place. Statistically speaking, like less people get
Killed or maimed there.
Yeah, killed or maimed while shopping for groceries. It's just really, it's a good moment for Chris defending his industry.
We don't know much about. I want to say that Chris doesn't have too many like characteristics, but one is that he's like really into being a grocer. Like he's been doing it all his life. He always he remember that moment that he's really showing off to that kid that comes into the store. He's like, "Welcome to Rigby's."
He's trying to revitalize the like whimsical grocer.
So yeah, I love that he's anti grocery store movies.
Yep, I like it as well. He takes a stance and he is not budging.
However, a certain amount of money will make him budge.
Yes, Mr. Goldberg offers Chris $25,000. To
which I'll immediately says, "All right."
And that's pretty much the end of that.
He as well as Kenan and Kel do a little dance around Stanley Goldberg.
Yep, they start chanting, "We're gonna meet Buck Savage. We're gonna meet Buck Savage."
I've said it before in the lottery episode. I love it when Chris participates in their like antics.
Yeah, I mean he's pretty excited. $25,000, and as we'll see later in the episode, he does not let that go.
Unfortunately. So is this a good Chris episode or a bad one, in your opinion?
It's a bad episode for just about everybody, in my opinion. Sorry.
Well, let's certainly that can be the case for Kenan's parents in this next scene.
Okay, well, let's go to the next scene. Let's just go. So we're in the family room, or the TV room, and Kyra and Mr. Rockmore are making a White House out of Elmer's glue and sugar cubes.
Yes, it's for a school project and stuff like that. And I don't know if I'm sure you've had moments like this where working on a project with our parents and they get more into it than us.
Pinewood Derby cars.
Yeah, that's a good example. Roger's reaction to Kyra reminded him.
She asked, like, "Hey, like, Daddy, it's my project. Can I help?" He says, like,
he basically just says no. He shoots her down.
Yeah. And then Kyra tells his mom, and he's like, "You tattletale."
Yeah, and eventually, like, she's like, what am I supposed to do? He's like, I could play with my bowling ball.
He wants to work on his White House, and it looks really good.
Oh, yeah. Except, so, the part that's been made looks good. The part that he's adding like, battlements on top of it.
There's no roof. There should definitely be a roof. Also, What kind of project is this?
Yeah, it's a diorama, right?
Yeah, build a diorama or a replica of what, a historical building?
Yeah, there's like, 30 kids in the class? Is everyone going to come in with a White House?
A big White House? Can you imagine the nightmare carrying that to school?
Or imagine if you're the kid who got like the Eiffel Tower. You can't like stack like, sugar cubes like that. But Kenan and Kel show up and they are talking about how excited they are that Buck Savage is going to be filming a movie in Rigby's.
Yeah, Kenan's yelling, and Mr. Rockmore's like, would you quiet down?
Yeah, I like how Cheryl and Kyra are really into Buck Savage, too.
Yeah, they're very excited.
We learned about a couple more scenes from supermarket cop movies. Well, one more scene.
Yep, where Buck Savage knocks out 7 bad guys with 1 cantaloupe.
Yes. And Kel demonstrates this moment.
He grabs the bag with the bowling ball.
He starts swirling it around, and he says, what's his line? He says, "Come on, man, I know what you did, my brother." And then he Buck Savage.
He slams the bowling ball down on the White House sugar cube diorama, destroying it and obliterating the coffee table. The whole thing just explodes. Yeah.
Roger, screams and he leaps into the air. And you can see Kyra covering her mouth because she clearly wants to crack up.
And Kenan grabs the phone and he says, "Kel, I'm going to call you an ambulance." But Kel says, "Why? I'm not hurt." He said, "You're about to be," and then Roger just chases Kel around the living room in a pretty funny slapstick scene.
Yeah, the last moment's really great because Kel like goes like behind the couch and he's holding up Keenan's like picture over his face, like don't you want to hit Kenan?
We're boys. We're still boys.
That's my favorite Roger Kel moment to date.
Yep, it's a pretty good one. It's a pretty good one.
Yeah, way better than the puzzle, and it's explosive.
Yeah, I really hope they keep exploding like that. Also, I think they're using broccoli for the shrubs.
Oh, you think so?
I see a plate. It looks like broccoli. I could be wrong, but
no, that's a good catch. But yeah, no, I see every now and then. I think there's a compilation on like Nick Rewind, a YouTube channel that has like Kenan Kel clips, and they show like the best of Roger versus Kel. And this one doesn't show up often. I think it's underrated. It's real good. But all right, let's go up to Kenan's bedroom.
So we're up in the bedroom, and they are talking about how cool it's going to be to meet Buck Savage. Meanwhile, Kel has the bowl filled with sugar cubes, and he has not stopped eating them.
Yeah, he's eaten 5 or 600.
Yeah, and he's just all jittery.
So that's one of the things I like about this episode is that every scene there's something funny happening in it, no matter what. like sometimes in the past we've gotten scenes that are just like for context, and it's like say last episode for example, there's a lot of just Kel painting things that aren't like hilarious. But I think the writer goes out of his way to in this scene you don't need anything to happen, but Kel is doing something really funny, getting hopped up on sugar.
Which is interesting because he drinks so much orange soda. You think this would happen more often.
You think that he would be like normal.
Especially because liquid sugar digests faster than solid sugar.
Interesting.
I made that up, but it sounds right.
Doesn't it? I was fooled.
Doesn't it?
We begin a series of dream sequences here as Kenan fantasizes about being in a movie.
Yep. So they're sitting on the bed. The camera zooms in on Kenan, and then it blurs into a fog-filled Rigby's.
Yeah, I want to say I love Kenan's line because he says, like, I wish I was a movie star. And he's like, oh, I'm starting to fantasize now.
Yep. He's like recognizing that he's entering a fantasy.
Yeah, I love when the show gets meta like that. But yeah, a fog-filled Rigby's. There's a scarred grocer behind the counter.
He's a very old man.
And a woman
is he scarred, or are those just wrinkles?
They look like scars to me.
Okay, I'm watching it again. Those might just be wrinkles.
Okay.
No, they look like scars.
All right.
They're definitely, nobody looks like that when they get wrinkled.
And some like femme fatale Russian-speaking lady approaches him.
Yeah, very like woman of the night.
Yes, and what does she order?
Meat.
Well, here's some meats. And he just takes out a handful of like
raw meat,
of like loose meats.
Hands it to her.
I think it's a good joke.
Yeah, that was okay. And then two guys grab her arms from behind while she's holding the meat that she hasn't let go of yet. And Kenan says, "I don't think so."
And we see the image of Kenan, who is he's dressed in all black.
All black leather jacket, gold crucifix, shades.
Yep. And he I want to say it's crazy because he like The Matrix came out 2 years later.
Oh my god. I love that. I love this theory. Kenan and Kel influenced The Matrix.
Yeah, clearly the Wachowskis like saw this episode of Kenan and Kel, like, that's the coolest look ever. We gotta capture that.
Google The Matrix. Like, don't you think Kenan and Lawrence Fishburne are like tight? You know what I mean?
Oh, sure. There's definitely a picture of them together.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen that.
Yeah, but so he takes off his shades, gives them to the grocer, and proceeds to deliver a series of punches and clotheslines to these assailants. In the end, he gets the affection of the girl, and he says, "Come on, I need a jacuzzi."
Yep. I'm sorry that I'm not responding. I'm looking up a picture of Kenan Thompson and Lawrence Fishburne together. And
Is there anything?
nope. I think we just profiled them.
Oh man,
We're just sorry.
they look similar
I'm sorry.
in some of these photos. I'm sorry.
It's true. Kenan Thompson looks like a young Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah. So yeah, he fights them off and gets the girl. That's the end of the fantasy.
No, it's not, Adam.
Oh.
He says, "I need a jacuzzi," and then there's another bad guy that pops in the scene, and he basically challenges Kenan to a nunchuck fight. So this guy pulls out his nunchucks, silver nunchucks, and he just starts, like really showing off his skills. And then Kenan reaches to the grocer standing behind the counter and grabs 2 sausages linked together with the shoelace.
This scene was not in my version of the episode.
Are you joking?
No.
What?
It cut off after he said, "Let's get a jacuzzi."
Are you joking?
No.
Oh my god.
I
Okay.
always assumed that was it. So when you're describing it, I feel like I saw that as a kid when I watched this episode.
Oh yeah. So
But-
Kenan, like,
Wow.
all right, the grocer equips Kenan with 2 sausages and a shoelace, and basically what happens is the guy's showing off his skills, and then Kenan just like looks at him after he did everything, and he just throws the sausage nunchucks at him, and he yells. He's like, "Ah!" and it hits him, and he just falls over.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow.
And then Kenan says, "May the pork be with you."
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, I didn't see that scene at all.
Oh my gosh, that's the best part of the show, the episode.
Well, that's awesome. It's rarely a time that there's a piece of Kenan Kel that I've missed. So
Yeah, no, it's really intense.
I have to buy the episode on Amazon to witness that.
I'll just send you a video of it.
Okay, so yeah, no, that's cool. All right, we return to Kenan's bedroom, and we get a fantasy from Kel about what he imagines.
So, are you telling me that in your scene, because Kel mentions that line, he's like,
Really?
He's like, "Really? May the pork be with you?" And then, like, in the next scene, and
It's
then
diced like crazy, and it's weird because you can tell something was cut in my recording. I just thought maybe the scene ended early, and before the credits, that part is also cut, which is it's weird. Yeah, I don't know why someone, if there's ever like a license, because you have the Amazon official version. I don't know why. Maybe the person that compiled my bootleg DVD didn't like Star Wars,
or maybe they were Jewish and didn't like that pork joke, or the fact that Stanley Goldberg is clearly a riff off of Steven Spielberg.
It could be any reason. We'll have to explore that theory later on in the show. What happens in Kel's fantasy?
So we're on a street, so we see storefronts and we see a fire hydrant.
I think it's the biggest set there's ever been on the show.
Yeah, it's pretty big. And Kel is basically dressed in 1950s garb. And he bumps into a this other guy walking, and he says, "Evening, friend. What's your hurry?" Or something along those lines.
Yeah. He takes up a weird voice, Kel does, for this moment.
And he takes up a weird voice.
As well for what's about to ensue. And they talk about that there's a storm coming. A storm? And he checks it out. And it is not water that's fallen from the sky.
It's orange soda.
The huge musical number.
Probably the largest musical number in Kenan and Kel history, right?
I would agree. And I see why the show doesn't do musical numbers a lot. Often. It
was pretty lackluster.
The visuals I thought were A+, but the audio rendition, it's so Kel sings a song called Drinking Orange Rain as a parody of Singing in the Rain. And there's kind of a low-budget musical audio behind it, and, Kel's singing voice leaves something to be desired.
Yeah, I almost wish they just like recorded him like in the scene, because it looks like he's singing it with like all of his might and gusto.
Yeah. It looks like he's really like pumping it out.
Yeah, and like his Kel voice, and then they just kind of like voiced over it.
Well, perhaps the visual effects like drowned him out, because if you look, there's a bunch of orange soda on the ground in puddles.
Yeah, no, there's liquid falling from the sky.
Yeah, it's orange and it's foamy too. It's like it's very clearly orange soda.
Yeah, they all went all out.
Yeah,
More so than the orange jacuzzi even.
Oh yeah, he does all kinds of dancing with his umbrella and like the spouts like pouring on him.
And instead of an orange demon attacking him, 2 orange soda cans with legs and heads come out and start dancing along with him.
Yes. Did you see what the brand of orange soda is?
No.
So this is the white label orange soda that we first saw in the Who Loves Orange Soda episode. And now we fully can see the true brand name. And it's orange, spelled with 2 E's. Soda.
Oh.
So I believe the brand is Orangey Soda.
Oh.
So.
Well, that makes me more upset than I was before I heard that.
I was watching with Alex, and she pointed that out.
Oh, that's
She's like,
funny.
why is orange spelled weird? I'm like, what? So, that's what happened. So yeah, he big musical number. I like the ambition of it. It's way better than if they did nothing. Like they did.
They got good lines in here. Ice in my cup,
and I'm ready for love.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it kicks.
He's tap dancing, but again. I wrote down, this is going on for way too long.
It's a large. I don't blame them. Because they
made
the whole sets.
It was just so unnecessary.
Yeah, I wasn't like rolling on the floor laughing or anything like that. I was just kind of like, huh.
I was like, wow. Okay, next.
Yeah. So going back to Kenan's room, for me, Kenan says, "What a peculiar fantasy," and that's where it cuts.
Yeah, Kel says, like, it's better than "May the pork be with you."
Okay, all references the pork one have been ended. Anything else before we go to commercial?
Yeah. And Kenan basically says, it would be cool to be in a movie. And then they're basically just like, he's like, you know what? We could be. And Kel's like, Kenan, we're not actors. Kenan says, actor schmackter. We can be in a movie. Something like that. And then it basically just like transitions to the next scene.
Okay. That's... I gotcha. They do allude at that a couple times. I do want to say, this is probably a good time to mention it. Good Burger was like filmed like the next day.
What?
I don't have the exact specifics on it, but they were literally filming this episode mid-season 2, like right around like that April-May when they were filming Good Burger.
Wow.
So there's a double layer of irony there when they talk about how we should star in our own movie.
Yeah, well, I knew that was going on, but
yeah. So I think it's a good meta joke. They're doing an episode about a movie.
Yeah, I think so. I definitely got those vibes, but I mean, this episode is just it just stops there.
The second half of the episode is very different than the first half too. And I was surprised by how much happens in the second half. None of this happened beforehand. Back at Rigby's, they're setting up all the equipment and stuff. Stanley's calling out to everyone. Did you hear the piece of equipment that he mentions?
No.
They're putting up an 80-watt gibber light.
The 80-watt gibber light.
And he also has to run the loofah cable behind the soaps.
Yeah.
So the writer, he didn't know any actual terms, and he'd be like, it'd be better if I make up like terms.
Let me just
make up nonsense.
Maybe make up some movie stuff.
Chris, now wearing a suit jacket, because he's all like Hollywood type, bothers Stanley some more about the production.
Yep. He basically just comes up to him and asks him when he's gonna get his money.
I think we should just cut it. We can cut the rest of Chris's scenes here, because that's all he says for like the rest of the.
It's terrible. It is like he has so many opportunities for great lines or funny things to say about the grocery business, and he's just kind of, when will I get my $25,000?
Yeah, I could see a better version of this episode where Chris is like upset, or he's conflicted about taking the money. And like as he's watching bad things happen in this grocery store, like he's like, should I speak up or should I not? It's like it's the money, but it's my profession that they're tarnishing.
Yeah, or like as the scene is unveiling and bad things are happening in the grocery store, Chris is like, no, no, no.
Yeah, freaking out when they start like breaking things, and
yeah.
So yeah, nope. He is just kind of one note for the rest of the episode here. After very loudly hinting at how they want to be in the movie, Kenan and Kel are approached by the director, who's like, "Okay, fine. Do you want to be extras?" And they are like, "Yes, yes, 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 yes." But he has a couple rules about dealing with Buck Savage.
Yep. Do not bother Buck Savage. Do not bother him. Speak to him. Touch him. Pester him. Disturb him. Or violate him.
Yep, and they agree to those terms. Buck Savage enters the grocery store, and they immediately touch, grab, violate him.
Kenan like messes up his hair. It's all gelled back.
Yeah. They mess up with his moose. And let's describe what Buck Savage looks like a little bit here.
He looks like...
You did such a good job earlier with the director.
Like somebody's dad who's wearing like going to like a basketball game, and like his son's basketball game, and he's trying to look like way more like fit than he is. And he just looks like a normal dude wearing clothes that are a little bit too tight.
Yep, he's played by a guy named Antoni Coroni,
who's in like actually good movies.
Yeah, I'm seeing a pretty good list here. He's in like Bad Boys 2.
Yeah, The Punisher, Truman Show, Need for Speed. Not like that's a great movie, but Ace Ventura.
He went to good places after this. He's usually some kind of like head goon, I think.
Yeah, he's definitely head goon type, like TV movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say that TV movie definitely is what this vibe of this production feels like. It feels like one of the a Sharknado film.
I mean, I think that's done on purpose. It's supposed to be like corny.
It's like a B movie series a C movie at least. But yeah, he also like talks in like a Superman voice. I noticed.
He's also wearing Kel's leather pants.
Yeah, so he after they kind of assail him, he shouts, "Look what they've done to my hair!" And
Stanley runs out to go get hair and makeup people. And Kenan and Kel are basically like, "Oh, no, we got this. Kel, grab the hairspray and whatever." So they start brushing and spraying his hair. Like, just them two. And Buck is just letting them.
He's cool with it. Until Kel sprays him in the eye.
Yep, and then he overreacts a lot.
Yeah.
He's out of his comfort zone here.
Well, I want to say that I like Buck Savage as a character in this. Because he's kind of like a Hollywood diva, but he's also like the Hollywood like stupid archetype.
Yep.
Or he just keeps letting Kenan Kel get close enough to him to mess him up.
Yeah, he's kind of an airhead.
Yes. After he's been sprayed in the eye, hair and makeup kind of take him back, and he crashes through the door and hurts himself on that too. So already like 3 injuries to Buck.
Yep. We have a hairspray transition over to the trailer, the hair and makeup trailer, which just looks like somebody's RV.
I like this scene in like a bottle. This is a really fun like bottle moment scene. It's got like good bookends to it, and Kenan and Kel make good jokes. But yeah, go ahead, describe the scene.
So Buck is like having his hair done, and he says to the lady, he says, "Can you cover up this zit?" And she says, "Yeah, I think I have some spackle in my car." It's just like a really like low dig.
I didn't see her credited, so I have to imagine that's the actual hair and makeup lady for Kenan and Kel.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about having a movie making or a TV making episode, because they bring out a lot of the equipment, like kind of on the front stage. They already have it nearby.
Right.
Later, you see like I don't know what you call it, the camera trolley. And it's
Yep.
like, all right, that's clearly from Nickelodeon Studios.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, she leaves, and Kenan and Kel creep onto the set and just kind of silently stand behind Buck Savage as he's sitting in his chair.
Yeah, he's like reading his script, and they get really, really close to him. They're close to him for like 10 seconds. Then he notices them and like kind of freaks out.
Ah! So, yeah, they, in a very nice moment, Kenan and Kel, I think, apologized to him for what happened. And they're like, say, hey, we're huge fans. At first, he kind of like, shrugs off. Oh, I also want to say, before they arrive, he says to Jackie, and get me a veal chop. Like, that was his lunch order.
Interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, no, they apologize to him. And yeah, he's kind of sarcastic. Oh, that means so much to me. But they ask for a picture, and he agrees.
Yep. And so so Kel lines up first to give a picture. Kel like kind of shows off his muscles as they're posing. And,
it's a really funny pose.
And Kenan doesn't have any film in his camera. Such a 90s problem.
You notice he has like a neat little memento camera.
Yeah, he's got a neat camera.
Yeah, so no film, but Buck knows where there's film. Where's the film?
In a box above the microwave.
So Kel goes to get it. The microwave is above Buck's head. So as Kel gets to the box, the whole thing crashes into the back of his head.
Throws the box in the back of his head, and by Buck's reaction, it looks like he has like a gash in the back of his skull. Like that's how bad it looks.
Yeah, he also starts like hopping on one leg, like something also happens to his foot.
He's basically just getting beat up.
Yeah, which he does his own stunts, we should say.
These aren't stunts.
I mean, in Buck Savage is the film man. So I'm surprised that he gets beat up so easily.
He is a baby.
Yeah, he basically Stanley and Chris enter the trailer, and he complains to them. Chris reprimands him again, and Stanley, who's seen like maybe 3 red flags at this point, says, let's continue. You guys are still extras, whatever.
Yep. Meanwhile, like in the scene before, Chris asked Stanley for like when his money was coming, and Stanley said that he would give him another $1,000 to leave him alone and stop talking. And so here is Chris again in the trailer following Stanley around, and he's like, so will I get my $26,000 in cash or a check?
Again, he's not working with anything. Okay, I think it's time to film the show.
Yep, so we go back to Rigby's.
All the extras are set up, as well as the robbers, and Buck Savage is ready for his scene.
Kenan and Kel get their instructions, which is to look afraid and do nothing.
Take one. They kind of get the cameras and the audio and stuff like that going. They had the little clapper. I thought it was really funny. The clapper, he says like, scene 1 of 7. So how many scenes are they filming in Rigby's? 7? Or is it 7 scenes in the whole film?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I was confused by that number. I don't know. Is it like a short film? Is it a trailer?
You know what's funny? I'm looking at this camera and I'm just kind of blown away because it has film on it. You know, like they're filming like it's like real. It's like a real. That's how they did it back then.
Yeah, no, they used the film. Unless they filmed it for TV.
Right.
Then they did like some sort of digital thing.
Right. Anyway, so the scene is happening. Kenan and Kel are standing there. And basically 2 guys run into the store. One of them's wearing a t-shirt and one of them's wearing a t-shirt with a denim vest. And they run through the store. With all the people are conveniently on one side of the store, by the way. They hop over the counter that symbolizes the power dynamics in human culture. And
they seize the power of the scene, which is the money in the cash register.
They disrespect it by jumping right over it. And then the guy elbows the cash register to open it.
I thought these guys do a pretty good job because they do this take several times, and it's like the same movements each one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a good job doing these actors do a good job acting in the same way over and over.
Yeah, imagine that.
But this first take is Kenan and Kel get a close-up with the camera.
Yeah, they basically move like towards the cash register so that they'll be in shot, and they're like looking at the camera, like giving the peace sign.
They basically look the same way that our dad does if you've as I've filmed him before. Just we're looking directly at the camera. Like, looking on uncomfortable. So yeah, that's Stanley says cut, and gives them better direction.
He basically says, like, you have to look afraid and do nothing.
I'm surprised either of them didn't say, whoa, just take it easy, man.
Right, from Drake and Josh. The theater thug.
This has a lot of theater thug vibes, this episode.
A lot of Kenan and Kel episodes do. Drake and Josh really had an advantage. I mean, they had all of the material, like, right there for them.
To work with, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, scene 1 of 7, take 2. Thugs rush in, jump over the counter, and Buck Savage arrives. I want to say, though, did you notice what the way that he was, like, being afraid, what he did?
He was just kind of, like, cowering.
Kel was cowering. Kenan was, like, rubbing his stomach in a circle. It's a blink and you miss it thing. And I probably saw it like my third time I watched. But
oh my goodness!
Again, Kenan and Kel do make the funniest jokes when they can.
Yep, it's pretty funny.
So yeah, Buck Savage arrives and he's got like a Lois Lane type, right?
Yep.
He's got this lady in the store that just fawns over him. It's like, supermarket cop, hooray!
Yep, and he's basically like, I don't know, what is his catchphrase? What does he say?
That's who I am.
Yeah, something like that. And he does this thing where he sniffs his finger, and then he goes and like charges over to these people.
Yeah, they engage in a fist fight, and it looks like Buck's he's getting his butt handed to him. Get his buck handed to him.
Nice. Yeah, so he's getting beat up pretty good. They're holding him down and punching him in the stomach. And Kenan and Kel start freaking out. They're like, "Oh my gosh, Buck!" And so they go over and they think that these people are actually beating him up, and so they just kind of start beating up these people in order to save Buck.
They grab some like meats from the deli counter, like some salamis and stuff like that, and just start wailing on them.
Yep.
This would be a good time for Kenan to shout, "May the pork be with you," again.
Yep. But anyways, they cut the scene, and Stanley is like very upset. He's like, "You guys are idiots."
He's irate at them. And Buck explains like, "I was about to win anyway. Like, don't you understand what a movie is?"
Yeah.
So Kenan and Kel, in fact, return to their neutral position, their starting position, for scene 1 of 7, take 3. And they go through everything before, and no interference yet. They're doing fine. Buck's starting to win in his fight. Then Kel discovers a wire.
Kel discovers a wire, the wire for the loofah wire or whatever. And he just like, and Kenan's like, "Kel, don't do anything," and he pulls it. And what happens is the what's it called?
It's the 80 watts gibber light.
The 80-watt gibber light falls onto Buck's head and knocks him out cold over the counter.
Directly on top of his head.
Yep.
This was said earlier by Stanley when he came into the trailer. He said, "You okay, BS?" Which is a neat one. But yeah, no, he is out. He got by the gibber lights, is what someone says. And Kenan's like, "Oh, Kel, what did you do?" Kenan runs forward and
elbows the camera.
He elbows the camera off like the giant like device that anchors the camera.
Yeah, and it's just chaos here. Everything's falling apart. The whole movie set is crumbling. The main actor is unconscious. And at this moment, Chris goes up to Stanley and says, "Am I still going to get my $26,000? And Stanley takes out the check from his pocket and rips it up right in front of him.
Yep, Chris is in tears as Stanley removes the entire production from Rigby's.
But not before Kenan and Kel grab a picture with Buck.
Yeah, it's funny. They say to the thugs, it's like, hey, can we get a picture with him? And they're like, yeah, okay, fine. They pass Buck's unconscious body, and 1, 2, 3, on cheese, they lift his head up.
Yep.
And take a picture.
And that's the episode.
We go out in front of the stage with Kenan and Kel. Kel's wearing an outfit that would make a leprechaun blush.
Yep. Green as green can be.
This is the limest of greens. They talk about their, how things went badly for the movie, but they thank Buck Savage, their fake guest star.
And the outro?
2 stagehands pull a gurney across the stage.
Right. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the dressed as paramedics.
Yeah, 2 paramedics come across the stage with Buck on a gurney. And as he kind of waves, Kenan and Kel both give him high fives and hurt him more.
Yep.
Poor Buck.
Poor Buck. That's basically it.
Kenan and Kel say hey, we should make our own movie. And Kenan gives Kel some items to grab.
Camera. Something else.
A microwavy.
Microwavy. That's right. A bushel of nuts, and meet him in
Burbank. That's where in Hollywood the movies get made.
Oh, okay.
and then he says to Kel, "Now follow me."
Now follow me. And Kel's like, "What? What? I don't like nuts."
Kenan, what does "nafa" mean?
Yep.
And again, kind of trying to channel that energy. He does a dance, but the audience isn't losing their minds, so he kind of ends early and says, "Oh, here it goes."
Yeah, it's not that funny.
Yeah,
but, here it goes.
All right. So that's I wonder if the bushel of nuts there is if that's a reference to actors and stuff like that.
Oh, that could be.
We need a camera, a microphone, and a bunch of loons, and we'll have enough people to make a movie.
Ah, maybe.
So, but that's the episode. Aaron, between Kenan and Kel, whose fault do you think this episode is?
It's nobody's fault. It's just a silly episode.
Well, their antics ruined the production. I'm inclined to say that it's a 50-50. Because
I would say that. I mean, I don't think it's anybody's fault per se. I think they're just kids.
It ends with Kel knocking out Buck with the lights, and Kenan knocking over the camera.
They were both acting immaturely and irresponsibly, though. So.
Yeah. Again, back to the different writer here, Savage, Steve Holland. He didn't get the formula, the dynamic between them, and I think it's very apparent in the episode.
Yep.
Kel isn't super stupid in this one. Kenan isn't very schemy. They both kind of want the same thing and go through it in the same way. So.
Yeah, there's not much conflict here. They all want the same thing. They all want to be involved in this movie. The only conflict comes from them just kind of being clumsy and silly. So I don't know. For me, it was kind of where's the conflict, right? They spent so much time fantasizing that there wasn't enough time to develop the plot.
As it breaks away from that formula, the formula works because it's them accelerating things. They have one problem early in the episode. It gets worse and worse and worse and worse. So that's not this episode. The conflict is only in the last scene. And maybe the second half of the episode, sure, if you want to say that they create some tension with them and Buck.
There's no tension. Buck just doesn't respond to the tension at all. He's not angry at them at all. He has no character in the show. He's kind of just walking through, getting beat up.
A star is not peeved.
No, he's not that mad.
He's not peeved in the slightest.
I think it was a lazily created episode.
Yeah, I liked what we saw on the screen. However, yeah, if maybe they started making the episode if that filming scene was in the beginning of it, right, or at least right after the commercial break, then we could have gone even crazier with it.
They should have done another ham fantasy for Kel. And they should have just gotten rid of that big orange soda production and put that production in the movie. Then there could have been like 2 different scenes.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? Like there could have been a scene of like the thugs outside, and then there could have been a scene. There could have been better. It could have been like really awesome episode. I just think they kind of blew it.
I agree. Like, imagine if they used that production Kel number money on like the movie,
and if they like were filmed 2 different scenes or something like that.
Yeah.
Or made it longer, or made it funnier, made Chris funnier. Had like Kyra and the parents like geeking out over Buck too. Like that would have been funny.
A lot of other Nick shows, especially, have like production episodes. Like you get to watch them create a movie,
right?
You get to watch like several things around it. But The Office comes to mind. Threat Level Midnight.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's great. It would be bad if you only saw them creating one scene.
Yes.
But yeah, so instead you get the whole movie experience.
Yeah, a little bit more than it. Yeah.
Imagine if the movie was already made in Rigby's, and this whole episode was just them, like, you know, you get to watch the movie through their eyes.
Yeah.
Or there's a lot of better things you could do.
It was undesirable in my opinion. Sorry.
Okay. So for the Rigby's accounting department, I want to say that they destroy a chicken as well as like a pair of grapes.
Pear.
Yep. That's about it. Believe it or not, they put the meat back, so I'm sure that's served up the next day at Rigby's.
Oh boy.
Which is pretty gross. But okay, let's talk about ratings. IMDb has this episode as 7.3, ranking at number 41 out of 62. That's kind of low medium. Now that we've seen enough episodes, I kind of want to give this rating some context. It's ranked number 41. Baggin' Saggin' Kel was ranked 42, and after that, Safe and Sorry is 44.
All the grocery store episodes.
Yeah, all the grocery store ones. So it's kind of running with that group. But I thought it was a little... I personally thought it was funnier than either of them. I thought they were running some good Season 2 energies. And I think that this was a very good debut for Savage Steve. So I'm going to give this a very high rating that I might regret later. Of an 8.
Wow.
8 bottles of orange soda.
That's absurd. I give it a 6.
You're putting it down with Who Loves Orange Soda?
I hardly laughed.
Yeah, I could see that with some the musical numbers and some of the earlier bits.
Yeah. Anyways, that's okay.
Yeah.
Can't always agree.
It's better than average.
Yes, if average is a 5.
If average is a 5, yeah. Right. Our Kenan Kel average is probably like a 7.
That's what I'm saying. So I think it's below average.
Okay. So, hey, that's the ropes. We'll see in the we'll regroup in the season finale.
Yep.
About, you know, who's good and who's bad. So, next episode in season 2 is called Ditch Day Afternoon.
Oh.
Yeah, we see an episode where Kenan and Kel play a little hooky and face the consequences.
Dun, dun, dun. I remember this episode from being a kid. Is this the one where they climb in the window above the door?
No.
Oh, darn.
Not even a little bit.
Okay.
You'll have to wait like a whole season to get to that scene.
All right, Fantas. Until next time.
Thank you for joining us. And Kenan Kel did get a movie event, and we'll cover that one eventually too.
The Good Burger's coming to a
to a podcast near you.
Yeah. All right, people. Oh, here it goes. Have a good week.
Thank you for listening. You can send us an email at KenanKelPodcast@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at anchor.fm/KenanKelPodcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all at Kenan Kel Podcast.